So for the first session of the SABIO Honey Fraud Workshop, we're going to be chatting to some of the board members that are from the South African Bee Industry Organisation, otherwise known as SABIO. During this interview, I chatted to them about why they wanted this event to take place and what they're hoping for you as their guests to take away from the event. Lastly, we also chatted about what's going to happen post-event. Why is this discussion of such importance to the beekeeping industry in South Africa? So let's hear it from the SABIO board. I wanted to know the people behind the honey story. So let's start with you, Adrian. You're the chairman, I understand, of SABIO. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Now, how did you get into bees? What's your honey story?
I think like many beekeepers, I started off with 2 hives in the back of my parents' garden. And then I had the privilege at university to continue my studies in entomology and started with a full-time career in honeybees. At the Agricultural Research Council, where I worked for about 20 years, and then moved on to keeping my own bees on a professional basis and consultancy, and then the career just developed from that.
So why SABIO? How did you get involved with SABIO? Because obviously you have honey in your blood, so why did you choose SABIO?
I think being in that as a career, as I said, I was always involved right from the first day into the associations, different associations at different levels, and yeah, you just move up in the ranks, and eventually you become, I don't want to say more important, but you start fulfilling a bigger role in the industry, and I'm very privileged to fulfill that role at the present moment.
So what is SABIO? What does SABIO do? What is the function of SABIO?
SABIO is of course the national body of beekeepers in South Africa, and we are making presentations to government in terms of different issues with regard to honey. We also assist in making recommendations in terms of legislation, and we work closely with many of the grower associations where pollination of course is a big issue. Sunflower pollination, apples and pears, our subtropical fruit industries, and also working closely with the chemical companies in promoting the safe use of pesticides, so that we don't have harmful practices which can be detrimental to bees and the environment. So we work very closely with those companies in making recommendations on those practices.
Great. I'd like to come back to you about this particular workshop because obviously SABIO has some very real concerns regarding honey fraud, and we'll talk in more detail about that a little later. But now it's time for the lady. Yes. So we have the rose in the room, Tumi. So Tumi Mobo, you're the vice chair of SABIO. So how did you come to get this particular role?
I got involved with SABIO, like what Adrian has been saying, that you go within the ranks of the industry. So I have actually been nominated after attending the national conference that we normally do. It's called Beacon, and I was nominated from there as a vice chair.
Excellent. Well,
Yes.
it's wonderful to have a lady, and I'm sure that you've got some interesting stories about what it takes to be an emerging beekeeper as a woman in this particular sector. But I first want to understand a bit about BC honey. Tell me about BC honey.
So BC honey, it's actually my initials. I am BC Mobu, and so it was established at the backdrop of my husband, who we lost him to cancer a few years ago.
I'm so sorry.
And the honey was actually introduced to us as a family by one of the doctors that were helping him walk the journey. And I have gotten the sizable evidence of honey as the natural immune support, and I saw it through my husband, and yeah, I mean, he used to call it a monkey juice, in promoting it to the people that used to visit him in hospital, at home, and because he saw by this liquid gold, and yeah, it is actually after his passing that I have then pursued the beekeeping, because the market has been established already for us, from these visitors that used to come and get monkey juice, because he wanted everybody to taste this monkey juice of his. And yeah, that's when BC Honey was born.
That's an amazing story.
So I've started actually from a consumer point of I worked backward from consumer to actually being the producer.
The producer.
Yeah.
And tell me, you know, with you, this evidence with regards to honey as a natural immune support, have you seen an increase in the demand for honey, particularly during the pandemic?
Absolutely. If you can realize that the actual cornerstone symptom of COVID, it is the upper respiratory tract infection. So back in the day, in ancient times, we've been using honey to suppress the cough or to alleviate the cough from the lungs. So the increase in the demand of natural honey, not what we see at the shop level, the natural honey, saw the increase in the demand and the increase, unfortunately, of the influx of fake honey into the country. In the inverse of it is that, you know, we had the demand where people would want to get this the alleviation of whatever that was, you know, in terms of COVID, that would help them to combat the infection. So yes, there's been positive impact of honey in terms of COVID, but also the negative side of it is that we see the loopholes, the influx of fake honey goes into and unfortunately, the nation will unfortunately die because of lack of knowledge, because we don't know what we're consuming. You would think that you are getting healed from this COVID, meanwhile, it is actually doing the opposite of what it should be doing.
I understand. Now, Kai, I think it's a good time to bring you in. So Kai Hischert is the board member that is responsible for honey fraud within SABIO. So why that portfolio, Kai? How did it come about?
Somebody's got to do it at the end of the day, you know, because if you look at what's on the shelves these days, and the consumer, at the end of the day, we have to actually educate the public. What are you actually buying on the shelf? And I've seen it, and I think I'm like any beekeeper. As soon as I walk into the shop, and my wife hates me for, I'm straight analyzing all the honeys on the shelf that's being sold there. And you see so many different things there. You see, now, as Tumi was talking about amazing health benefits, there's a honey on the shelf. One of the big retailers, we had it removed twice from the retailers. And on the front, it says on the label, it says amazing health benefits, and it's pure syrup inside there. So what are you actually doing? What are you actually buying? And that's where the price of honey comes in as well. So what we do is we try and identify and try and narrow down where's the honey coming from and what are you actually buying, and trying to educate the public. And I think the most important thing is the more people we educate about what are you buying, the more you'll start finding that people, oh, hold on, I'm not buying that. I would rather want to go and buy from a beekeeper, and I know I'm getting the genuine thing. As Tumi says, the monkey juice, I'm going to get my monkey juice from that beekeeper. And if you look at it, often in the shelves, for instance, there on one of the big retailers now at the moment, they've got about 4 different flavors of honey. They've got orange blossom. Hold on, orange is only flowering in August, coming now. If I have orange blossom honey, it's sold out immediately because it's got such a distinct, beautiful flavor. Lychee honey is a very unique honey as well. So on this one retailer's shelves, there's about 4 different flavors, but the colors are all the same. And my honey, my orange blossom honey is totally different color from my lychee honey, totally different color from my macadamia honey. Now, what am I actually buying at the end of the day? And the consumer doesn't actually know the different flavors and different tastes. So that's what we try and do, is to try and educate the public, as well as trying to we police and look after what is being sold on the shelves. That's it.
Do we have more demand than supply within South Africa when it comes to honey? I mean, are we having to import honey because we just simply cannot supply the market? Could the honey be coming from the northern hemisphere?
Yeah. Well, worldwide, honey is one of the most adulterated foodstuffs that you do have, and so you definitely, if you're going to get if you've got the demand outstrips the supply completely. That's why you're getting people adulterating honey. They're making honey, same as a lot of olive oil, milk, wine. All of those industries are being adulterated, and the more popular it is, the more adulteration gets into it. And honey is, unfortunately, it's quite a valuable product. So people are getting good money for being able to adulterate something quite easily. And we as a beekeeper, we've actually got to go and work, we've got to go and harvest the honey, we've got to go and get the extracting facilities, the bottling facilities. We've got a huge amount of work and expenses going into it, and where guys actually adulterating and can give quite a cheap product. Here we've got one product that's selling for 30 Rand for half a kilogram, and it's healthier to go and buy a bag of white sugar and eat that. It's healthier to do that. So he doesn't have the expense going through that. So it's much easier making money that. It's a money-making scheme at the end of the day. And now the public goes, but I can't afford Kai's honey, although it's absolutely the best honey in the country. I can't afford that, so let me rather buy this because it is also honey. What you're buying. That's where we've got to get past.
So I think what you're saying is that when you see a special on honey prices, that's not necessarily honey. Is that how I'm understanding you?
It's very difficult to say because I get people who want to buy honey in bulk from me because I know Kai's honey, and Kai runs out of honey every season. Every winter I'm out of honey, I'm out of stock, and people get angry with me, you're out of stock. So what I do, I don't move on my price on my honey, and they say, yeah, but I want to buy bulk. I say, I'm not going to change my price, but hold on, I really want to buy a lot. I say, go to this retailer, they've actually got a honey on a special at the moment. They say, yeah, but that's not the same. That's why my price is not the same. Okay. However, there are some retailers and there are some honeys being sold at overinflated prices, and people buy that because they trust the retailer, and they say, I only get top quality products from this retailer, and that is why I'm buying there. What are you buying at the end of the day? Where's your honey actually coming from? Is it actually honey is it actually South African honey, or is it not South African honey? And that's where we've got to try and get the label legislation going and get that all fixed up. So we can start narrowing it down so people, the consumer at the end of the day, yes, are you buying a proper, genuine raw honey, which has not been heated up to over 40 degrees or anything like that? Or are you buying something that's been processed, been pasteurized, there's virtually no enzymes left in there, there's no good stuff, no pollen, nothing left in there. You might as well buy your packet of sugar and eat that, much healthier.
So Adrian, that's where SABIO comes in with regards to lobbying for changes in legislation and some of these, I almost want to say, loopholes that Kai is alluding to, which are possibly present in the current situation where we are right now?
Yes, I think we experience the same as many other industries, that legislation is always behind technology. And our current legislation is there are certain tests listed in there that can be used to detect honey or to confirm the authenticity of honey, but those tests have long been outdated, and we need to update of that, and we also need to update on the labeling side of it, and also then the origin of the honey, not only whether it's imported or not, but as Kai referred to, is citrus honey, or is avocado honey. So there's different things that we need to update, and we would like to work with the Department of Agriculture in actually polishing this up. Because unfortunately, it also happens that beekeepers' product are removed from shelves, and now you're testing it against requirements that we feel is not at this stage the real measurement for that honey. And that provides, or at this stage, creates a big problem in the marketplace, specifically from a beekeeper's point of view.
And that's exactly why we're here today, to discuss what some of the challenges are, what some of the practices are that are unfortunately duping the consumer, and then most importantly, how do we find our way out of here? What do we need to do differently in order to make sure that the liquid gold is protected, but so are the consumers? So thanks very much. Thanks for your time, and let the games begin.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you for having us.